Everybody, this is Perch. This video won't be popular. You'll get downvotes and everything else. But I think it's worth talking this out. And because I see this pattern kind of repeats over and over and over. And the problem is we complain about aspects of it. This pattern I'm about to describe is gets people angry and videos get made and people get upset and then they remember it and they talk about it over and over and over again. But it's not, nothing is changing. We're still doing the same things over and over, and it's just the names change, the dates change, but it's the same pattern over and over and over. And I don't enjoy this pattern, any part of it. I don't enjoy it. So I'm motivated to stop, to not have to keep doing it over and over. I'm not sure who does enjoy it. Maybe nobody enjoys it, but we're stuck to doing it anyway. So the basic pattern here is that so there's social media, which is the root of all evil. At the I just to some extent, but there's a social media account. Somebody says something fairly, I would say, benign or statement like, or who knows, but it comes across maybe a little abrupt, maybe a little harsh. Not a flame, just something is said, and then a bunch of people react to what was said with increasing kind of what I'd call chip on the shoulder type behavior or various kind of snarky trolling or whatever it happens to be. And this creates a counter reaction of anger from the original poster. And then eventually, after a bunch of back and forth, we get to the classic kind of step in the process of don't buy my books. I don't want your money. Piss off. And then that's where people come in and start saying, hey, what a terrible thing to say. This is bad. You're making a decision for the whole, how dare you kind of throw away business? This isn't customer centric and so on. And that response just generates kind of more anger, and then block bots come into play. And then that's where we settle into this kind of growing number of the divide between creators and fans. This pattern repeats. You could insert all kinds of people in there. You can kind of go down the list, and increasingly that's where it winds up. Now, the problem is there's a lot of true statements you can make about each step of this process. Like, for example, yeah, it's not a good idea from a sales perspective or from a customer relationship perspective to tell people piss off, don't buy my books. Yeah, it's also true that doing that is making a decision not just for you, but for the company and for the other people who contribute to this book. That's also bad. But it is also true, and this is the part that I think there hasn't been a great answer for. And so for the people who just have that finger heading, hovering over the downvote button, and they don't want to hear it, I'm asking for a suggestion or a solution or a comment. What is or just truth, and don't worry about sugarcoating it. Just what is your truth? So what I'm about to ask: what should somebody do if they're a creator on the book and they have a number of fans kind of coming at them, telling them they're stupid or they don't want to do something or whatever happens to you? What is that creator supposed to do? Is a creator supposed to say, well, thank you for your opinion. Thank you very much. Or is the creator supposed to ignore it completely? Is a creator supposed to mute? Creator supposed to block? Where is it supposed to go? Is a creator never supposed to say anything on social media that could in any way generate a negative reaction? I will tell you that is impossible. Now, keep in mind, I'm asking, like, what is the right response? What is the blueprint? Because a lot of people say, well, the blueprint is the creator should be professional. And I say, yeah, I agree. I think, frankly, I don't think you need to say creator there. I think you can drop the word creator and just say everybody should be professional. You shouldn't be going on social media and acting like an asshole, whoever you are. The creator has more to lose in that world because they're trying to sell books and some kind of random fan is not selling anything. So if that random fan is not professional, maybe that person gets labeled as a jerk, but nobody is losing any money in that process. But really, everybody should try not being an asshole on social media. You should try it. It's not a bad thing. Even if your brand is being an asshole, you should try not to be an asshole. But what should the person do? Because again, like maybe you're like me, I'm tired of seeing this cycle play out over and over and over. And I don't feel like we're getting any closer to a solution. And I think that some of the solutions that have been offered are they're not sustainable. They're not workable. They're things like never say anything except comics on your social media feed. Well, I don't know if that's a fair thing to ask. It's not, frankly. It's not a fair thing to ask. But at the same time, I get where it's coming from. Is you're there, your name is in the comic, your Twitter handle in some cases in the comic. You're there to kind of build a reputation off your comic, and then you're over here talking about some kind of random, highly polarized thing and being a jerk. That's not going to be any good. But at the same time, this is the problem is I think the solution to all of this is actually super super simple, and we spend a lot of time talking about, a lot of time working around it, and for whatever reason the simple answer is not good enough for them. The simple answer is don't be an asshole, period. Creator, fan, anybody. If you approach social media like you've got a chip on your shoulder, like you want to go and just start fights, whoever you are, you're being an asshole. Don't be an asshole. I think we come up with a lot of really elaborate ways to say, try not to be a irresponsible jerk on social media and life will be better. I get that everybody's definition of what irresponsible jerk might be, it varies, but the big extreme cases that come up are not that shocking. When a Chuck Winding comes on and says, you screw all of you voters, and I just like you can eat a big bucket of and all the rest. It doesn't really matter who he's responding to. That was a crazy thing to say. I think the good litmus test is if he walked into a Barnes and Noble and shouted that out, or just said it in a reasonably loud voice at the Starbucks line, people would escort him out. If he came in and said, I don't like the president, I don't think his policies are any good, he wouldn't be escorted out, because there's different degrees of that statement. I think generally good common sense would say try not to isolate any part of your audience based on your politics or your religion or your favorite sports team or whatever it is. Try not to isolate your audience. It's a bad idea if you do that. I also think that we should be more accommodating when people slip up. We're all human and we make mistakes, or we say things, or maybe we're heated and we get angry about something and we vent. And I think we're by and large, there's a group of people who are completely unforgiving of any of that behavior. Like you make one mistake and you're dead for life. It's going to be 5 years of constant reminding you of this mistake. And I think there's a difference between an honest mistake, somebody saying something like, this president makes me so mad, and then somebody saying all the people who voted for this president can go screw themselves. I hate you. You are monsters. Those are kind of two different worlds, right? One is venting your personal feeling. The other is, going out and smearing a bunch of fans, of customers, well, forget even fans and customers, a bunch of other people. But again, I mean, there is a dynamic here where you see these things escalate, and a good one is the whole Greg Capullo situation, which we don't need to go into in heavy detail. But he makes some comments about masks. Okay, he thinks masks are useful. He likes them, and he thinks people should use them. That was kind of his point. He wasn't going out and saying, everybody must die who doesn't wear a mask. He wasn't going out and being very aggressive when he started. He was just kind of stating a fact. And I think there was some frustration. It was frustrating him that he was going places, I believe, and people weren't wearing masks. He wasn't understanding it. And he wants to be done with this pandemic. And why won't people just wear the mask? And it would help. And now, whether you agree masks are good or bad or useful or useless, I think you can go in there and have a reasonable dialogue. You can go in there and say, yeah, I don't agree that masks are the big solution here. I think something else is, or I think the mask value has been overblown. Lots of different ways you can go in and have that dialogue. But some people went in and said, it's disappointing to hear you say this. It's stupid. Masks don't do anything stupid. And they really went after him. And then Capullo turned around and kind of punched back. And what was weird is everybody turned into, not everybody, a handful of people turned into kind of damsel in distress type behavior. They bring me my fainting couch. Uh, Greg Capullo threw a punch back at the punch I threw. And then some of those responses, the tweet gets put out on videos and people start talking about it, but they're talking about step 4. They're conveniently ignoring step 1, 2, and 3, where this fight slowly escalated, and they're starting with step 4, where Capullo sounds like a raging jerk, which he did if you ignored step 1 through 3 of how we got here. Now, again, just to be clear, I wouldn't personally ever write something like, all you people who feel this way, get lost, I don't want your comic, get lost, I'm going to block all of you. I wouldn't write something like that because I think it's bad for business. That's my personal choice. I think it's a bad idea. But everybody, your mileage may vary. You can do whatever you want. You can choose any aspect to all this. So I'm not defending. So people who roll that stuff out, I grimace because I know no good is going to come of that. I am a person, and I think this is a behavior that a lot of people misunderstand, but I am a cause and effect person. So if, and it's not perfect, I make plenty of mistakes like everybody else, but if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to write something, I'm trying to think about the outcome of that response. And most of the time, I can predict what it's going to be, and I act accordingly. Every now and then, I don't, it doesn't work. But generally speaking, if there's not value to be gained, I don't go down that path in the first place because it's a waste of time. So, but we're in this state where it's people are on edge all the time. And I go back to where I started. I'm tired of this cycle over and over and over. Like I want to break this cycle. I'd like to not have these dialogues because it's exhausting. And here's the thing. The vast majority of people watching this are not on either person's side in this argument. They see it and they think, that's just a bunch of bullshit. And they tune out. That's what they do. It is not the case that like this massive group of fans is, taking up arms and angry. And on the other end, the massive group of creators is digging in to defend the other side. Most people see this and go, well, this is a bunch of stupid noise that has nothing to do with enjoying the comic, and I'm out. And many of them will just ignore it, keep reading the comic, do what they're doing. A handful of them will just say, "This is too much nonsense for me," and out they go. None of it's productive. Is I guess my point. None of it is actually getting anyone anywhere. So what do you do? And I'm meaning this question honestly. What is the roadmap here for everybody concerned? What is the roadmap when a creator says something and a bunch of fans come in and start, pissing all over him for his view or her view? What is the and because the responses that went to Capullo's original tweet were not pleasant, not professional, not reasonable. They were a bunch of people trying to dunk on this guy because they believe something else, and people were acting like jerks. And generally speaking, if you go in and you throw a punch at somebody, you're going to get a punch back. That's how the world works. And I do think that there's this weird environment for everybody, because I talk to creators sometimes and they will express shock and surprise when they post something, a hot take, kind of inflammatory thing, and then fans get mad. I have had people show up in my DMs going, I don't understand why the fans are so angry about this. I'm like, well, you see this part where you said, screw you. I mean, some people might take offense to that. I mean, and the creators mystified. They're like, I don't understand why anybody would react this way. It's like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. Why are you surprised? But then the same thing the other direction. I watch fans come in and basically say, you're an idiot. And then the creators like block, and the fans like, well, what'd I do? I don't understand. What did I do? I'm a paying customer. What'd I do? It's like, but you acted like an asshole. I mean, we can all have the debate. Should, creators block people? Is it good for business? All the rest. That's fine. But what really isn't a debate is like, if you act like an asshole, you're probably going to get treated like an asshole. Like, I don't think that's magic. I shouldn't be. I don't. But people seem perpetually surprised, or at least pretend to be surprised. I do believe, kind of in my heart, that most people who are involved in this whole mess are not act. Everybody's putting on a big act. Nobody's really surprised. The creator is not surprised that their terrible hot take is getting beaten up on. And I think the fans, when they troll creators and they do things like that, they're not really surprised when they get blocked. They're like, I can't believe I was blocked after calling this person a terrible, awful person, wishing they would get fired and die. I can't believe there was a response. It's like, I think you do. I think everybody kind of knows what they're in for, and this is all one dumb social media game. So, what do you think? Let me know your comments below. What is the roadmap? Just somebody help out the creators, help out the fans. What's the roadmap here for navigating this stuff? What do you do when somebody comes at you? What's the right answer? Help a brother out. Put it in the comments below, and maybe just some people can maybe this will be a assistance, or screw it. Maybe you love to see this our fight and you're not sick of it yet, and that's good too. Let me know that. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, downvote away people who do that kind of thing. Thanks for listening.